Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, owner of Illustrious Hardwoods in Mesa, Arizona. With me this week, I have Jeff Newcomer from Johns Manville with the GoBoard team. We're going to get into talking about how you keep creativity alive in your company, on your team, so that you can continue to move forward. But before we get started, I want you to know Floor Academy is here so that we can facilitate the conversations to help you move your business forward. I want to help you grow and get those systems, those processes, those numbers, all the back end things. Look, you're a contractor, you're most likely an artisan of some type. You're great with the hand skills. Tune in, listen in. Let's get that business side, that administrative side in place so that you can truly become as successful as possible. Once again, before we get started, I got a little bit here to read. So for over 65 years, Ladecrete has been a leading manufacturer of products and systems covering tile and stone installation, masonry veneer installation, resinous and decorative floor finishes, concrete construction chemicals, and concrete restoration. They offer an array of low VOC and sustainable products. Their products contribute to LEED certification, exceed commercial and residential VOC building requirements, and are backed by the most comprehensive warranties in the industry. For more information on Ladecrete and the products they offer, visit ladecrete.com. Jeff, welcome to the show. Why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself? Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it? And then let's jump into this. Let's jump into creativity.
All right. Well, thanks for teeing that up, Kyle. I'm Jeff Newcomer. I'm the product manager. I lean towards also somewhat a national account manager as well, wearing different hats here in our group here at Johns Manville in the GoBoard area. But I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and just specifically working here with JM and all their new products. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I don't know who I am. I'm still trying to figure that out every day. You've probably heard that a few times from other guests, but I'm serious when I say that. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. And I just love learning about the industry that we're in. You know, the tile industry, the flooring industry. I'm learning stuff every day, and so I continue to be a fan of everybody's out there, including some of the competitive products. I'm a super fan of what everybody's doing, from the installer to the manufacturer side of it too.
Well, it's ever changing, and I feel it's changing probably faster than it has in years past. I mean, technology keeps changing, but it's how long were some products around before there was really developments 50 years ago, right? And so now it's every year you got to go to the big show, and you better have a big reveal because we've got to attract that new person. Yeah. And so that goes hand in hand with what we're going to talk about is how do you stay on top of this? How do you keep a creative edge? How do you keep the team excited? Because I feel a lot of times within like these smaller businesses that contractors are running is you hire the new guy and he's doing a task. Okay. He's off there doing something for you. And he'll be like, hey, what if we, no. Look, I've been doing it 30 years. You just do it my way. Well, how do you not know the kid's going to spit gold out and save you 10 minutes a day, right? 10 minutes a day, 50 minutes a week. That's almost an hour. That's 52 hours a year. If you could if the kid spits something out after working for you for a week and he's saving you time, man, that's gold. And he might be wrong, but let him spit it out at least. Like too often I think it's stifled, right? Like this is my company. It's my system. It's my process. And within your role over at Johns Manville, you can't do that, right? Like it's your division is probably kind of goofy because you work for a large corporation that says like, we're going to walk this line. We're going to be really careful. We don't want to stray too far because we have to there's stockholders and there's things that need to be met, right? And you got to be very careful. And then there's like, you get put in, hey, go make new products and figure this out, right? And so you have to go outside of all the rules they set, probably. So,
yeah, I mean, absolutely. The innovation. We'll start with the word innovation. Innovation is probably the most overused and abused word and I think in our industry or any industry for that matter. Everybody, if you go to trade shows, Kyle, you see innovation, innovative products. You see that word everywhere. I mean, if we're playing a drinking game and you're walking around, you had to drink every time you saw, the word innovation, you'd be hammered after taking 20 steps into the trade show.
Look, Tice coming up in February. This is the game. Thank you, Jeff. All right, everybody. We are going to walk around anytime you see the word innovation, innovative, anything to do with it. Bring a bottle with you, and we're going to see who. I love this.
And come to the GoBoard booth when you do. And and I apologize for disclaimer. I don't want you to drink too much. It could be water, for any JM people watching out there. It could be water too. But yes, it's a challenge, Kyle. It's absolutely a challenge. We're in a Johns Manville in particular has core products, or most companies have a core set of products that might have nothing to do with what a true innovation group is working on, with what a new division of a bigger company is spinning out new products. And that's exactly, just from my own personal experience, the product we have is unlike any other product that is in, at least the industry that we provide it to is unlike anything that we sell our core products to as a whole company. So, getting bogged down with, hey, we're so small sometimes within our big business, within this big business. And it's the rules we have to abide to, as you said, you got to find ways to overcome it, and innovative ways to overcome some of the internal things as much as the external things that are out there. So, man, the last 2 years, everybody talks about the last 2 years. They've been crazy. We've been disconnected. We've been working from home. Now we're back in the office, or at least, trying to get back in the office. Now the creativity seems to be sparking back up a little bit, at least from my personal experience. It's nice to have everybody back together. I think it's rewarding, to have our teams back together and working the way we are, going to trade shows and seeing you at the trade show, seeing you at Tice. Doing those fun things that we do. I think, there were some ideas, we had time to think about, a little bit the last 2 years, and now it's time to just start getting those ideas going. And I think we're all excited about that. And that's one way to keep everybody, in play and in motion and going and, coming up with creative ideas and fresh ideas. I honestly think 2022 is a fresh start in a lot of ways, especially for a lot of companies. There's been some stuff going on, little turmoil out there that's made it exciting. And I know we like it. We like it here, and I like it personally. So
it's good to shake things up, right? If things are stale, it's harder to get in that mode and kind of feel everything going. And so GoBoard was actually born out of your roofing division, correct? So
correct.
Okay, so this is like, who's the person that was like, it was on a roof, why don't we put it in, who's the guy that comes up with that and says, like, this is a great idea, let's stick it in here, right? Like, that's super out of the box and a creative thing. So who is that? Someone from your team was looking at it, or your team was created after some engineer was like, let's stick, like, what happened?
Yeah, somewhat like that. So Dwayne Parody, who's our technical guy, to throw another name out there, Dwayne, actually, it was him. All the credit goes to him. So in this innovation group that we have, it's an incubator here. And so when a new product, anybody in the company can throw an idea into the hat. And then it goes through a vetting process, not to give you too much, the details, but it goes through, and they're kind of boring details, but it goes through the process. And then, this one, Dwayne actually used to work in the tile industry, used to work for a cement board manufacturer. And so he was like, why aren't we using polyiso for, a backer board? It's waterproof. And so that's really how it all went down. I mean, that's how it started. And that, 2014 is when the product was established. So when our backer board came into play.
And what's that process like, right? So someone can throw an idea in the hat, right? You got to vet it, and you got to work through it. But like, how do you keep it? How do we encourage the team to be willing to throw stuff in there, right? So often everyone's afraid to raise their hand and say, I have something, because you constantly get told there are no dumb questions. Well, I disagree. I think there are dumb questions, but if you truly don't know, then ask. But you could get, society will discourage you from being outside the box very quickly. And so how do you even get the team excited to be like, look, what if we try this? Or how do you even encourage that environment?
Yeah, we send emails corporate wide. Hey guys, please send in. That's just kind of the frosting on it. We communicate to everybody. Please, if you have any ideas, throw it out to us. As you rein it into our group here, and I'm in the technical facility, so everybody thinks we're all scientists and engineers and all that. When there's also other people out here that are on more the business side of it too. So, but we just encourage it. I mean, we there's more than one new idea going on at one time. So right now there's probably 8 or 9 other ideas being vetted right now. So it's always a challenge to get people to throw that, something in there. And we're always digging within our own talent pool to try to find new ideas so we can keep evolving. And really the innovation group in general, and this is for any company, this is how you stay relevant. You have to keep coming up with new ideas. You have to keep coming up with new products or, new ways to make today's problem, diminished or go away. And so that's kind of the fuel behind it. But I'd say from my experience and being here at Johns Manville, we say JM. So if I say JM, that's what I'm referring to, is that it seems like everybody, from customer service to, the CEO can throw an idea in the hat.
Yeah.
And we do get a good amount of them. And so even in this group right now, like I said, we have numerous projects going on right now that are either being launched or they have already been launched. And so oddly enough, GoBoard is the most successful that we've had, for sure my time in 6 years, but it's one of the kind of success stories of it, a company that's not even in this application or in this market just, comes over with a new idea of actually old technology to us, being a roofing product. Old technology to us that we can use in other ways, which is kind of cool. And that's really what this business was or the group was really created to do is, hey, what do we have today that we have our hands in? We have, plants and, all these things going on. What can we use now, branch out of our normal core products and use, that stuff, that technology to do something else. And so I love being on this side of it. I think it's fun. It's and the people we get to work with are really great, as a whole, you, Kyle, and as a whole in this industry.
No, I appreciate that. It sounds like you're constantly looking at what's in play and then trying to come up with new ways to use it, as well as having people suggest new ideas. And you're really trying to promote this culture of like, let's find out how we can go be different, and difference good. You don't have to be the same as everybody else. Like why would you want to be the same as all your competitors in the market? Right. Like if you don't stand out, then what's the point? Like, why do I want to do business with you? Because there's already somebody doing what you're doing. So I can just go with the proven system with the competitor as opposed to going over here and working with you. So I like that you're promoting this. And I think more contractors need to look at what can they do to promote finding ways to be different. The message is often preached that, hey, raise your prices.
Right.
Good message. Not great. You can only raise your prices so far before you have to do value add. And I think that's really what you're looking at is you're not just coming up with new products, but you're coming up with value add. And how do we position this product to shine better than what else is out there, whether it's by price or what it can do, how we warranty it. So how does that come into play because I'm assuming as the product manager, you kind of get some say in like how things are positioned in the market. And so that's definitely something that needs to be looked at, because just telling people that you can go do sand and finish or install a shower and it's X amount of dollars. Great. What else do you bring to the table? Is it dustless? Are you super clean?
Yeah.
Do you put down runners all throughout my house? Are you sweeping up with a sweeping compound? How are you special and different? And so I think that's a huge component to what you're probably bringing to the table in this innovation group.
Yeah. I mean, that's big. You have to have a really solid value proposition. We call them icons on our side. You have next to the icon is, what are the, you try to keep it short and simple, but let's say four. What are the four things that stand out about your product? Easy to cut, waterproof inside and out, less installation times or fast installation. You have to have the value proposition, first of all, that really justifies not another Me Too product, but why your product should be chosen over the other products out there on the shelf. There's a lot of products out there, of course, but are they truly different and innovative? Are they solving a problem, or are they just a different price point, that you're looking at, or this is the only offering at the store, so I have to take it, or I have to pick something because I'm already here. It really truly has to be different. And when we're going through that vetting process, that's all the stuff we have to think about. Yes, cost and pricing, it has to be competitive. But it's not just about that. It's is the product actually engineered to be different? Is it solving a problem? Innovation is born out of a necessity, or a need, sometimes even desperation. And so, my grandpa being a farmer, living out in the middle of Western Kansas, nowhere. Sorry if there's anybody from Western Kansas. You guys are in the middle, kind of nowhere, and I know because I go there all the time. But you're out there and you learn by holding the light how to fix things, and that's how that goes, and so you have to find ways to truly be different and overcome the challenges that are out there. There are a lot of companies. You would think almost every problem should have been solved in 2022. No, not the case. And there are new problems coming up all the time. And that's why I enjoy being in the group specifically that I'm in. And my job I get to do is that there's a new problem. Something changes here. There's going to be something over there. That's an opportunity. And so, yeah. And so that's it. I enjoy it. I like it. I think that there are many cool products to come in the future, and many things are being automized a little bit more, and new things are coming out of the woodwork. When you're a consumer or an installer, and you're that guy who's finally given a product a chance that's a little more evolved than what you've been using, 20 years, or my great grandpa told me how to do this, and now I continue it today and I pass it on. That's really great, but save yourself a little bit of time, maybe, and a little bit of back pain by looking and seeing and being open to what's out there. As far as new products, there's so many cool products out there right now. It'll continue to be that way.
Yes. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're looking at the adhesive market, the foam board market. I've seen changes in the sandpaper that the sand and finish guys are using. All kinds of stuff has come out in the past couple of years where they're just like the aluminum oxide finishes they used to have to fight on pre-finished floors that would take them forever to sand off. They can take off in an instant now. And so just all kinds of changes, people looking at things differently and solving problems. But somebody had to, once again, I want to go back to like the smaller business contractor guy. All these big companies are encouraging change and evolution and to look at things. And then we stay in this box a lot of times and we're like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm just going to keep doing it this way. This is my proven process. And like having a solid process, I'm all about that. Okay. We're talking systems and processes on the show all the time. But sometimes you have to evaluate, is it still effective? Has something hit the market that makes it easier? There's glues now that, like, if you use an old school urethane glue on a pre-finished wood floor and you leave it there too long, it's going to etch the finish. There's glues now that doesn't happen. The glue could be left down a month. You come back and you wipe it right off and there's no problem. And the same thing, right? We can mud a shower, and the mud event's coming up. Well, by the time this airs, that may have happened. I'm not sure where this is going to land in the schedule, but mud's still very big in California. I know mud pans are still big, but there's foam. Can it be done quicker? Can you do some things by having someone custom create a foam pan for you that you wouldn't be able to do with mud? Not my area of expertise. I would assume yes. And so we have to be open to the change and to allowing something to come into our business and make us more successful. And that's what you're constantly doing, is someone's coming to you with an idea. Hey, can we try this? Can we try that? how do we figure it out? Is this going to be able to move us forward? Can we position it in the market to be different? Like how do we stand out from the competitors? You're constantly fighting that. However,
Yep.
Once again, people are constantly talking about like, oh, COVID these past 2 years, da, da, da. And in the environment you have back again now, you said like, you're really feeling like it's starting to come together. You've been working with your team in person again. And traditionally, like in a creative environment, you kind of get a think tank together and you do work in person because it's easier to bounce ideas off each other. You can read people better when you're in person. What was that like to try and run an innovative group remotely?
Yeah, it was a few happy hours, virtual ones, which weren't great, but it helped us get together and talk a little loosely about things, in person or virtually. Yeah, it was a challenge because we do have essential people here working during that time, keeping everything going. Our plants, of course, were still up and running as well. But I would say, like you said, that creative spark of when you're just having a sit down conversation with somebody was not there 100%. And that's that. I think that goes for a lot of companies. That makes it difficult. I'm a people person, so I love chatting or getting in person. I'd rather pick up at least the phone over an email. I love interacting in person with our customers and their customers as well. So not being able to do that was kind of tough. And you miss some ideas, not just internally here in our group, but when you're hanging out with the contractor and you're getting to hear about what their thoughts are on our product or products out there, or even the distributor, all the knowledge that they have. You do miss out on that. You do miss a good amount of that. And so it's just nice to be able to connect back and get everybody going. It's rewarding to be back together, and it's having the organizational support, seeing it with your own eyes and not just, being remote I think it's huge. My thoughts are, I think you get together at the water cooler, something's going to come out of it that you didn't know. And or something is going to spark off a chain of events that hopefully are good and go in the right direction. But yeah, definitely a challenge. And and it's I think we're heading in the right direction now, no doubt.
Well, how'd you solve it, right? How do you get that spark out of people when you can't be together, right? How'd you keep it going? Because obviously, I mean, you got Johns Manville was working on things as you went. Things were coming out, being released, new documents, or it's still all rolling. And so, how do you find the way to get that creativity out of someone when you're just like, I'm bored, I'm at home, I'm stuck, like I can't, right? Because I get it. You're saying you're out with suppliers and manufacturers and the contractors, right? And when you can see stuff in the field, people are more likely to point out, hey, what about this? Or I'm really struggling here. And it's easier to start thinking outside the box. But were you calling them up? Were you trying to do remote calls with how did you kind of solve this problem?
Yeah, absolutely. Staying in touch periodically was big. Touching base with the customers that, of course, every day I talk to customers, but on the contractor level, I don't always get to talk to them. So I actually have a list of people and people get added to it all the time. On the contractor side that I actually do keep in touch with and are really good friends. So that was one thing, and it helped me out too to get through it was, just having those conversations and staying in touch periodically. That's huge. Because if you're not, then I think you then start to either get bored or feel like you're on an island way out in the middle of nowhere. So it complete challenge. At a certain point, at least in our group, we're like, we got to go. I'll see you at the office. We need to just get back to it. And I think that's the point that it got to at a certain point is, hey, let's get back together. And then all of a sudden trade shows come back up and we're like, yes, there's trade shows. And so sure, they started out a little bit slow. What was the first one we jumped back into? We did a few in 20 and then 2021, they're a little slow, but I think they're finally catching ground again. And so, not everything would have went at the pace and speed we wanted to during that period that we all kind of hate to talk about sometimes or think back about, but things are really speeding up pretty quickly. And so as of today's status, all these really cool these projects we had always had in the back of our mind that would have worked on maybe a little quicker had we been in person or really starting to catch steam. And so now it's like, hey, I've got all these balls in the air. Let's go. And I think our group is really fundamentally driven on having a bunch of balls in the air because it's exciting.
Yeah.
Hey, what are we doing with this over here? Hey, we have these new, drains over here. What's going on with that? There's all kinds of things we're dipping into now. And out of a time like that, new things can be sparked too. It's not all bad or negative or down. There are some new ideas that can pop up from that time as well. So, and there'll be some new things coming from us, from that time too, that I'll be able to share another day with you, but that are on the positive side of it. So of a dark age of pandemic stuff.
Yes. Look, I don't know that it was necessarily easy for anyone. I know for many contractors, it was definitely a boom because there was just money being pumped in everywhere that people could spend and they can't go anywhere. So I'm sick of looking at my house. So now I'm going to improve it, which was great. But then shortages kicked in and I can't get material and I can't do this and I can't do that. And I think contractors have probably gotten very creative over the past couple of years. System warranties are great. I think if that's what you want to do, that's cool. If you follow rules, making like Franken-shower is definitely an option as long as you know what you're doing. But I think there's a lot of Franken-showers out there right now because you weren't able to get this from this person and that from that person over there. And you were just like, well, I got what I got. Like I got to get this project done. And so you got to think outside the box. I'm sure tech lines were super busy. Like, can I use this with this? And can I put this product from this company with your product over here and make it work? And I'm glad to see it instead of people just saying, well, I can't do it. I think it's good for the market to be able to experience. And people were probably forced to use products they never would have thought of, which is also good. I get brand loyalty. I have my products that I love to use, but I'm open to trying other things because I may find something I enjoy more out of nowhere. And so if it can speed me up, if it can make me more profitable, if it can deliver a better end product for my client, then I'm interested in using it. I think that's where some creativity comes in, is how can I apply my products in ways that aren't traditionally done, and hence the fact that something that's used for a roof ends up being put in a shower. And so now how do we apply that and make it go forward? So you've worked your way through the pandemic, you're back in person. Did you find, you said that you feel like the creativity is starting to come back and you're really getting rolling. So was that a struggle at first? Like you kind of got put back and then everyone was like, okay, turn on that machine.
A little bit, because you have this list of ideas or projects that you accumulate over time, and then at a certain point you go, okay, where are we at with all those? Right out the gate, where are we at with these things? Let's get them rolling. And so I think that it wasn't really as much of a challenge. It was more, hey, let's just make sure we prioritize and let's go. And so I don't think it was. I mean, honestly, I'd love to say we had, we're never on red. There's a few projects on orange, and we went into green pretty quickly. And I think that we were all up for that challenge, to do that. I'm sure a lot of organizations felt the same way. Hey, now it's the time to do it. But like you said, there were some things that you hit the nail on the head with. Hey, being open to other things. I know we haven't seen everything in our group with our product being used in every Franken shower out there or project. But man, there are some really cool ones that came out that are probably so rock solid. You could throw a bomb in there and they Franken showered it up, but that thing is solid, watertight, amazing. And it got them out of the comfort zone. As from the installer side of it, they tried things they would have never done, probably would have never tried, but they overcame challenges themselves to come up to the same end result, which is the project's done, the homeowner's happy, or the builder's happy, and I made this happen. My art is on the wall and on the floor, and it looks good and it's solid. And I had to go through these many things to get there, or this many challenges. I know what to do for the next project. So I know that definitely the contractor they probably had a ton of challenges, and they're still, we jokingly say that our faithful, GoBoard installers have garages full of GoBoard right now. They've become, it's the toilet paper thing. But, that's just us joking about it on our side because demand is just so crazy, as all building materials are really, really crazy right now. So, but yeah, there's plenty of challenges ahead still.
The supply chain shortages seem to be coming to an end. Hopefully we're working our way through that. Companies are getting production levels back up to normal. Mm-hmm. But it's there's challenges ahead, but I think that they're different, right? It's looking at how do we adapt to the industry as it changes? How do we find ways to apply products in ways we may not have done before? So how do you get the team to look for those ways? Is it just going and interacting with the contractors and the manufacturers, right, or internally? Or do you have a team of people that have these skill sets that are like playing in demo area of I can create whatever I want, or what do you have going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So in our own lab, we have to try all types of different scenarios. We listen to our customers. So our customers say, hey, I couldn't get this, so I did this. What are your thoughts on me doing it that way? And if we have time, we go and we try to test real quick. And real quick, so it sounds great. Sometimes it's not real quick. But yeah, we do absolutely have Dwayne who does that. He'll go down and he'll start working on different scenarios, or an idea will come across from listening to our customers that we can go and actually gain more knowledge by doing it hands-on. Hey, we haven't done that. We haven't really thought of that before, but thanks for bringing that to our attention. And then we run from it from there. We get really great ideas from our customers, and we're not such a big company. We are a big company, but this little group that I'm in here is, you don't have to go through a ton of red tape to get things done. Okay. We kind of have a little bit of a passport to just do it. We're supposed to be a little more creative, a little more, shouldn't say edgy. I can't think of the right word, but we're supposed to be a little bit more wild than probably the rest of the company. Okay. Because we have to think outside the box, and you have to have that creative mindset. Creative people have a different mindset. They have to look at that. You might look at this, pencil over here differently than I do. And I'm just saying that everybody looks at things differently, yes. But that creative mindset has to say, that pencil does what, and how does it work, and how can I adjust that or change that, and what does it do for other people, and so that's if I could take you to Dwayne's area, you'd go, oh my gosh, what is all this stuff he's got going on? And these aren't your products. What are you doing with those? Just things like that, because we do a lot of different things, and we try we get creative too when we're testing.
So, I mean, how does that work out? I mean, you're getting suggestions, you're getting calls, and how does this work? How do I use this? Can I use this? Actually, before we get into that, I'm sorry, I'm losing track of time here. Let me interrupt this for just a second. Hey listeners, whether you're an installer, retailer, distributor, or serve the industry in another capacity, attending trade shows is a solid resource to expand your knowledge and networking base. You can also learn about the newest and industry-leading products coming to the market. The International Surface event is returning to Las Vegas January 31st through February 2nd, 2023. So mark your calendars now. Floor Academy podcast listeners will soon have exclusive registration offers. Stay up to date with the International Surfaces event page on Facebook. Johns Manville manufactures a range of innovative building materials, including products for the flooring industry. From GoBoard to Evalith, JM products are not often visible, but they provide technical, environmental, and economic advantages to the essential items you are installing every day. GoBoard is an ultra lightweight and waterproof tile backer board, and Evalith products are fiberglass or polyester non-woven components used in the making of carpet tiles, LVT, and resilient flooring. So, that being said,
that was great.
Thank you.
You did awesome. I mean, I would have tripped over that whole thing. Wow.
There's episodes hired. I do go. But I like that when that happens, to be honest, because I think you might tune out the ads, and then if I stumble on them, it draws attention to it. So then you're like, wait, what happened? Oh, what's this? So you have multiple products in multiple spaces. You're using you said you have competitors' products there that you're messing with because you're getting calls of, can I put A with B and use your product as part C? And
Yep.
Do you ever get calls from the contractors or from your distributors that they're just you immediately you have to be like, no, just you can't? Or is it always, don't do that, hold on, let us go test this and see, right? Like, once again, there's no stupid questions, so you kind of have to have this attitude of, let's go find out.
Yeah, we try not to say no, but there are some times when it just gets to that point where you're like, use at your own risk. It can get to that point with some of the questions. And, even with GoBoard being used sometimes in applications other than the tile applications or flooring, we get those out of the woodwork, even from our distributors, because some unique questions come to them as well about, hey, can I use this as a sheeting product? Things like that. So we do get some of that stuff that comes to us, but we do try to test as much as we can, but and not say no. We're supposed to say yes a lot here in my group in general. And I think in innovation in general, you got to be open-minded and say yes if it can happen. But then those are where the guidelines come in. Your product can only do so much. At a certain point, it does become where you have to say, no, I do not recommend, putting that there, using that there, doing it in this method, and as a manufacturer, we have to say, stick to the manufacturer's instructions. That's, you probably heard that a time or two. We tested and I don't know if everybody knows this, but the third-party test, the internal testing that goes on is very strenuous on our products. And we test all these different things. And then we also third-party test it and get it certified. If it, of course, it has to hit those marks to get certified. So it gets put through a lot. And, but we do listen to our customers. So there are things that come up where we're like, wow, I don't know. I need to find out. Let me go look into that and see what's going on. Those guys are out there putting their hands on it every day and coming across very unique situations that you just can't always duplicate in a controlled environment. And so, and we do get out to do quite a bit of, installs and things I help out with in people's homes and seeing what they're dealing with. And that actually helps a lot. There's a lot of R&D going on out there that our customers do for us. It's just sucking that out of their heads. And learning about it.
Well, so you're having to say yes, right? Like, once again, the standard small business is probably oftentimes saying no. Like, I have this thing, it's working fine, let's not break it. And you're in the opposite boat. Like, you have to say yes. Does saying yes break the system, or do you find saying yes, you have to, right? You have to evolve, but like, is saying yes harder than saying like we have a set way, or is saying yes easy? You just have to learn what to say yes to. Like, how does that work, right?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Yes is not always easy, because that it can be done right, and that's why you would say yes. It's just you may not be the one they're doing. You're hearing about it or going over how it could be done to say yes to. But when you're not on, there with your hands on it, doing it yourself. I can be a control freak. I think we all, to a certain extent, think, hey, if I'm out there doing it, I'll make sure it's done right. There's a lot of us that are like that. My wife is one of them. And so I'd say yes is easy and hard, depending on how far you get pushed to the limit with the capabilities of what that product can do and can't do. So, but we do say yes quite a bit to a lot of things out there, and a lot of it, if it's not exactly to the manufacturer's instructions of ours, or there are some other things around that little bit of, hey, you may not get the full warranty or things like that, but if you don't care about that, then it'll work. Use this or you can use that. So, in our group here, we're always giving ideas out on how to do things too, from the installer's point. When they call in and they have something that comes up, or the distributor has a question that comes to them, or we know GoBoard's been used in quite a few different places and projects that we wouldn't typically recommend. Okay. I've seen a whole house covered in GoBoard before on the exterior.
Okay. I don't want to know why.
And I won't tell you where it is, but it's I don't even. Maybe it's not there anymore. I have no idea, but it's interesting.
But I mean, this saying yes thing, it leads to. You have to say yes, which now I have to go change. I have to test. I have to figure out. I have to do something different. and see if it's successful, right? Once again, we're looking at it from, look, this system works. It's not broken. It's making me money. I don't want to change. And yet you have to go and do the exact opposite. So how do you run that and still try and be productive? Because you constantly have to buck like you're stuck in a box, right? And you have this corporate, I hate to say, like the corporate overlord, right? Like this is how we do things, right? You got good old Uncle Charlie over there watching over you. And so like there is a system that you have to stay within, but your department goes against the system and says, I have to say yes to things, but I still have to do it reasonably, right? There's how are you finding the way to allow the creativity to exist and encourage it, but keep it in line so it doesn't go off the rails?
Yeah, that's a tough one because you get so many minds wanting to try different things, and use, the same core function, but let's try it so many different ways. And, the way to say yes to that is of course, you go through the motions of vetting out what works and what's not. You mitigate risk, or you eliminate risk. That's where the no would come into play. If there's too much risk, or that this is going to fail, not going to work, it's not going to be the end result that you would expect, and our standards would expect, and for sure, got to say no. No's not hard. I said yes, sometimes it's hard. No is not always hard, because you also know that flat out, that's just beyond the capabilities of what we can do, or what we as a group would like to accomplish. So creatively, you do have as weird and as corporate as it sounds, or as boring as it sounds, there is a mental step process you have to go through of elimination.
Okay.
So you really have to go through, is this okay? Does that work? What is the end result of that? How does that compare to other things out there? When you throw in costs, doing it, sure, you could use our product there, but honestly, Mr. Installer, if I'm having that conversation, you're actually going to spend way more money than if you just used what's over there and out there available to do it. So we do get lots of questions about things like that. At least, our group gets questions about, hey, can I use your product here? And well, it's going to add a lot more cost to it. Sure, you can do that. But just to let you know, I'm also going to tell you, I'd love to make the sale, but that is going to add so much more cost to your project. That there's actually something that is actually specifically for that application that you can use out there. And let me see if I can find it. Let's get to Google and see if we can dig it up. There are things like that, and homeowners call quite a bit too. It's always fun talking to contractors and homeowners, and we learn from both. Absolutely do.
Well, and so I mean, what you're saying is that if I have it right, you're open to everything. Everything can come in, right? Like there's not a filter. Everything can come in, but then I'm gonna look at the individual idea, and I'm gonna try and work my way through it mentally first to see if it's even viable. And then if I think it's viable and it's not so far out there that it's just not even going to work, now I can kind of put it in place into an actual system and start figuring out, can this fit what's going to produce the best results successfully?
Yeah.
And can I do it for a reasonable cost, right? And like you said, looking at, is there a product already there that I can just go pick up and buy? I think a lot of times people want to like invent tools and they need this and that. Well, what does it actually take to do it with the current tools versus what is it going to cost me to develop a tool, buy the tool, use the tool, and could I just have gotten it done, right? And I think that's the same thing, is you're going through that process of how do I really determine, is this a viable solution? But just because, let's not cut off the guy that's been working for you for 2 days just because he's been working for you for 2 days. Like, let him talk, right? And it's a good coaching opportunity of, okay, here's why that wouldn't work, is because we have to do this, this, and this. And you can work through it with them so they better understand. They're just curious. And why would you want to, if they're curious about the project, why would you want to kill that and tell them, shut up, do it this way, leave me alone, I'm trying to work? Well, if you just want to work, why'd you hire somebody? Because now you're going to have to train somebody, and it's an investment up front. You will always get a return on the back end if you find the right person to employ and you train them properly. It's going to suck time up front, but if you can train them to do that task right, it takes you 2 hours to train them to do a 20-minute task for the rest of their life. Well, you save that 20 minutes every time now after you spend the 2 hours. So yeah, you lost 2 hours. What did you gain on the back end? They do it 6 times. You've got your 2 hours back. So don't I think really Jeff's environment is allowing him not to stifle that stuff and be open to it and listen to it and say, you know what, we've never thought of that. Let's go look at it. Why don't we do that in a smaller business? Why do we have to be so rigid and afraid? You already put everything on the line. You're a business owner. You said, I'm going to provide for myself. What's the big deal if you try something that takes 20 minutes once in a while?
Yeah. Well, even that person that you hired, once they get it down and they get in their groove, they can improve that process and make it better. And now that person can take on more things or come up with more ideas and have more time. They took on that task and it took, 2 hours out of your life, but now they've got it down and have made improvements to it, that they can do things and take on more too. So as a small business owner, I in my own mind, I'd like to think they are open to the new ideas out there from people they hire too. Even somebody who is completely out of the industry that jumps into this industry can bring an idea that we're all, we may have overlooked, we may have never seen. And so, people are the most valuable asset, to big companies and small companies. And so I think that, creativity can be sparked just by that new person too. Absolutely. And hopefully sooner than later.
Look, I hope more people, I feel that enough companies aren't open-minded enough with their employees, and they're very set in their ways and shut down. But I would hope more companies, like you said, are open to it and willing to allow somebody that's been there 2 years or 2 days, or it doesn't really matter, 20 years, like let them come and say, hey, what if we approached it this way? And I don't know, but then that allowing somebody to come in, I came from reality television. I looked at a set of skills I had when I stopped getting some work and realized, okay, I enjoyed woodworking in high school. Where can I use that skill? And I was like, I don't want to be a framer in Arizona. That would suck. I don't want to work in a cabinet shop because I'm just going to get a set of plans and produce the same MDF panel for 8 hours a day. And that's kind of like cubicle work. I definitely don't fit in that environment. Been there, done that. And, I'm going through stuff and I was like, oh, wood flooring, like, let me call a bunch of contractors. And then I got in, and then, I decided I want to open my own business and do this thing, and went getting into podcasts, and then typed in flooring one day and it wasn't there. And I was like, oh, I can do that. Like, I have this background with film equipment. I know how the audio equipment works. I can make that happen. So you have to be open to people to be able to come in and kind of shake things up and allow a different perspective, because you may not know what you're missing without it. Look, I love these companies that are like 3, 4, 5 generations deep of flooring installers, and it's been in the family and it's the way it is. But I think sometimes that'll hold you back, because you get so set in tradition that you become stagnant. And if you're stagnant, then you're going to get outpaced, because someone's going to come along and come up with something that's different, something new, something creative, and they'll fly right by you, and you won't know what happened until, you gotta go get that close sign and hang it on your front door, and you won't know what happened because it worked for the past 5 generations. And you're like, I don't get it. Right.
Oh yeah. Well, if you can come in and the person who's, more open and innovative compared to the person who stays stagnant, if that person who comes in that's more innovative can say, I can get this done quicker, I can get it done faster, and by the way, it'll perform exactly how you want it to be, that person's going to win every time, and hopefully, it's cost effective too, of course, if you throw that in there. Yeah. And so, you have to be open to it. And as, going back to the the person joining the team or the small business that brings people in that help maybe shorten time down, help bring headcount in, to start, delegating tasks to. Well, if that person's opinion is valued, then that makes them feel like they actually have a higher stake in the business. and it probably gives them a little bit of pride too, to be working and doing what they do for this, small company or big company to do that. So, but yeah, hey, I wrote this thing back here.
You did.
You probably can't see it.
I can. You? The art you create deserves the best substrate. We that's the coverings video came out, and I believe that's in it. Yeah. So go find the coverings video. I
changed the word up in there, but I had to quickly write it up there. I was like, I remember watching that, and so I thought that was fun to put up in the background. We watch a lot of shows, and there's always something cool, like a bookshelf in the background. I didn't put up any of our products or anything, so I thought I might as well write something.
No, I like it, and honestly, that was a hard creative moment. It was hard for everybody. Since we're speaking on creativities, I went around coverings, and I just was going up to people, and I was like, "Why is GoBoard tile?" And they're like, "What?" I was like, "What does that even mean?" I was like, "Look, here's what I'm doing. Like, here's my thing." And I was like, "Why is GoBoard tile? Like, what makes you unique? What makes you different?" Everyone's like, right? Like it, because I caught them off guard. Like nobody was prepared, and so they had to come. Everyone was coming up with this stuff on the fly, and I think everyone did a wonderful job. But everyone got a few minutes to like really stop, think about it, and figure it out. And I think the things that were said all stand out in that video. It really tells a story of an industry and how we're all different and kind of what we value. But it was interesting to see the creative process happen, whether it was like one person and you had to they had to bounce stuff off of me, or, one of the company booths had like 10 people and there was probably like 3 or 4 of them that gathered and kind of worked it out real quick. And then like, that brain trust was able to get everybody else on board. So it was fun. I'm assuming
I really enjoyed that video, by the way. I
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it. And it's fun to see some of our friends of the industry be in there, and the excitement that some had. I wish I would have been in the booth that day, Kyle. I would have, done it upside down or something.
There may be more videos coming. That may be something that Floor Academy is looking into is a little bit more video production. So there's some talks with some people that may be a thing that develops. But nice. I'm assuming that you are in charge of hiring at some aspect for the team, right? What is it that you look for in people? What are some of the qualities or interview questions you use to see that they are open-minded? They do kind of have that creative spark. How are you assessing that to make sure they're going to be a good fit for the team?
I think the first thing is energy level. And that's not a question. That's just, when they come in, and just how is there some enthusiasm, to them? And the positions I hire for, you got to have some enthusiasm. You got to be able to talk, and it's just nice to see. And you don't have to be able to talk, but you at least have to have some passion behind what you're saying. And I think that's number one for me personally, is that the energy level is there. Sometimes it's fun to find out what makes people uncomfortable a little bit, in a working environment. What their boundaries. We like to break boundaries. We always. When I'm interviewing, I at least say, hey, we're rebels out, within this business, what level of rebel, are we? Probably pretty mellow, but I still like to point that out, and so that's kind of where, how do you feel working in an environment where we feel that, that's creativity. That's a part of being innovative. You're going to be doing some things that you're like, well, I didn't really sign up to do it, but I'm going to do that. I want to try that out. So really just being open to, and flexible and making adjustments in their day-to-day work. I think you can hire somebody to knock off a task list. I mean, there's plenty of people out there to do it. But what I look for in hiring is somebody who goes, okay, well, I have this over here that I need to work on, but let me see how I can take this to the next level. And let me see if I can put my own stamp on it. And patents can come out of things like that, which is really neat for people and employees. So I think, the questions I typically ask are, first I look at energy, and second I look at, hey, how do you feel about doing this, and what can you do to improve? Have you historically made improvements to things in the past? and worked on. I like to see some of that stuff too. So, and that's just the area I hire for. It's always specific to what, exactly position in the role you're hiring for. If it's a sales guy out in the field, I love to see some energy from them. It always helps when they have been out there in the market and they know people, in that area, and they've been doing it for a while. But I just think, the motivation is huge. Got to be motivated. Just got to be motivated.
I couldn't agree more, because if you're not, what are you doing? You're not going to do much if you're not excited and passionate about what you're doing. But it also sounds like you're looking for somebody that can, you're probably kind of loosey-goosey with the rules over there, right? So there's not a lot of, there's structure, but there's probably not a ton, right? You have to be able to work in this little bit looser of an environment, it sounds like, in order to get things done. And so you need somebody that can, creatives aren't usually good within structure, but you have to place some rules on them to keep them. You got to have the bowling lane bumpers up, right? You got to keep them in the lane, but
absolutely.
Give them the ability. You want them to bounce off. You don't want them to hit the wall and stop.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. A creative mind, like you hit the nail on the head with that. A creative mind doesn't always stick within the boundaries and stay within the boundaries, and that's good. In my world, I love that. I love that somebody will look at something differently or decide, hey, I'm going to try something different that we haven't done. Maybe even something a little more risky than we normally do. But like you said, you try to say yes as much as you can. At least when you ask me that question, try to say yes as much as we can. So,
Okay. Anything we didn't hit on, Jeff, that we need to make sure we get in there, people know they can help push their company forward? Any last insights?
Just we hit so much, Kyle. Gosh, we didn't even tell people about kids and all that stuff. Just don't be afraid to, as far as a business owner, don't be afraid to, try some new things and do stuff out of the box. I'm sure that, many business owners or managers have tried and thought about doing something, and it's always been there on the shelf. And I'd say if you don't do it, today, then it's another year away, then you might actually do it. So, start working towards those goals on what you want to do. Give other things a chance. Give people a chance with new ideas. As far as the employee, part of it, the product part of it, of course, give those new products a chance too out there. I'm the same way though. You said something earlier that, hey, I'm a brand player. I buy the same toothpaste every day because I haven't had cavities in 10 years. So I stick with my toothpaste. Completely understand it, but if there's other things out there that can really improve your life, on the work side of it, or even personally, like a new toothpaste, give it a try. I don't have a sponsor down here of toothpaste, by the way. I think I said that 3 times.
It's all good.
So,
no, it's a good generic example. I'm with you. Whether it's, look, I think people are generally fairly loyal to the backer board or the, self level they use, or the adhesive they use, or the grout they choose, or the tool brand they choose, right? A lot of people are going to be like Team Orange. You get made fun of if you're that neon yellow color, and it doesn't, people get very loyal, and a lot of times it's built around a system. I get that. But once again, what are you missing by not trying something outside the box once in a while? And especially in this industry, I think a lot of times if you go and you let a product rep know, hey, I'm interested, I have a small project coming up, but I've got a garage full of this stuff, right? You can kind of weasel your way into maybe getting some free product or discounted product. Like, just go ask. The worst they're going to tell you is no, and then you got to buy it, but you're charging the client for the materials anyway, so you're really not losing anything by working with something new, but you may be able to be more profitable on a project by going and getting to know your reps and building a relationship. Because even if you don't use that product, I'll tell you what, the more people you have in your phone to call, the better off you're going to be in business. Because if your rep for that product can't solve your solution when you have a problem, the person who you've never bought anything from, as long as you have a relationship with them, they may pick up that phone and solve it for you. And you're going to be very, very thankful, because you knew them. And so
Yep.
don't get hung up on, I can only talk to the people that I buy from. That would be absolutely foolish. Go outside the box, get to know everybody, and find out what they're about. What are they offering? Why are they offering it? How does it compare to what I'm using now? And even if you don't want to change, at least you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if the last 2 years didn't force you to do a little bit of that, maybe, reaching out to people and networking a little bit, trying to do some of those things, or trying the new products out because of availability or, all that fun stuff. Talk to the people who have. Mm-hmm. Word of mouth is the number one marketing tool out there. Find out from, peers in the industry what their experience was with trying something new or doing things like that. Hey, Johns Manville is 164 years old. I believe February this year we turned. If we can evolve with a company like this old and have an innovation group to spin out new products, and it takes a little bit more work to do that in a company setting, small business or installer, you can make those decisions quicker and give it a try. And if it fails, if you don't like it, at least you try it.
Yes. It doesn't, failing is not a bad thing. I think business owners in school, kids are taught like, oh, don't be a failure. Like it's the only way you can move forward is by making mistakes and failing. Like, how'd you learn how to ride a bike? You sucked at it. You fell. You couldn't stop. My son almost hit a car. I got a video of it. It's absolutely hilarious because he couldn't stop. And so he hit a curb before he hit the car. But, he had to fail. You had to fail at doing it so that you could get better. It's okay. It's okay to go hear no from somebody and be told you're not going to succeed. No doesn't always mean no in the way we think it is. It's generally an objection to how the idea was presented. So ask questions. Well, why are you actually saying no? What is it that you don't like about the offer? What is it that you don't like about the solution I'm presenting? And now you can get deeper into the conversation and hopefully solve your client's problem, or your rep's going to help you solve your problem and be able to present you with a product that will meet your needs. And so go have those conversations. Don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to hear no from somebody.
Yeah. And if you do hear no from somebody, find a different way to ask it, or find a different way to get around the no. Go back to the drawing board if you need to, and try to find a way to overcome that. And, I didn't talk about failure so much, but there are a lot of things we try that don't work. A lot of things, way more things we try that don't work than do. But when you get that little nugget, one or two things here that work, man, that can set off a whole chain of events that could really set you off in another trajectory. It's pretty neat. It's a part of being innovative and being creative. Failure is just a part of it. You got to be able to handle it. You got to find a way to get around it, get over it. And if you have to scrap things, move on to the next thing.
Yep.
Don't be afraid of it.
If you're not trying, you're never going to have a success.
Right.
And that's
absolutely.
That's exactly it. Okay. We'll finish on this thought, is that a lot of people think there's overnight successes. Oh, Apple or Bill Gates or, a lot of these tech companies, right? You look at these people and you're like, oh, it came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. They were slaving away in a basement, in a garage or wherever for 10 years, doing little by little by little. And then finally it blew up and you realized, oh, it's there. It's this thing in front of me and everybody knows about it. But they had more failures than they ever had successes. They didn't quit. Everybody else is saying, I failed once. I'm done. I'm going to move on and give up. Luck. I don't believe in luck. Luck is the result of a lot of failures, and only being it's just luck is a lot of successes, but you have a higher success rate because you have a very, very high failure rate. And so I think that's what people miss. It's okay to go fail, keep going, pushing forward, moving ahead, and you're going to win. A lot of these companies wouldn't have the products they have had they tried to develop something and said, it didn't work. Oh, well, it didn't work the first time I tried. Like, oh, well, we're going to move on and just stick with what we got. WD-40 is called WD-40 because it was the 40th attempt at water displacement. Like at least that's one of the stories I've heard. I hope it's true, but it's WD supposedly stands for water displacement, and it was test number 40, and now you got WD-40 in a can. So like
Awesome.
they had to screw up 39 times before they came up with a successful product.
Yep. And every one of those times they screwed up or it didn't work out the way they wanted it to, they got better.
Yep.
Every time.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, everybody. Jeff, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Everybody go check out GoBoard. It's a great product. It can fulfill your needs in the shower. Available in many markets. You can get it at one of the larger box stores. If one of your normal local suppliers doesn't carry it, ask your local supplier to bring it in. They would be more than happy to help assist you. You can tag Shauna Bouchard in just about any tile group, and she's around, and she can help do what you need her to do. What else we got? Thanks for sponsoring the show. Very much appreciate it. Thanks to all the sponsors, Ladecrete, Surfaces, you guys over at JM. And you can check out where you can find the show, find the shop if you want to buy some swag or anything, flooracademypod.com. If you want to help support the show, you can go to patreon.com/flooracademy, and they'll get you set up over there. Even $5 a month goes a really long way in helping me to continue to produce this content. If you have any ideas for show topics, you have feedback, let me know. flooracademypodcast@gmail.com. And that'll do it for us this week. We will talk to you next week, everybody.